ACCA, the world's most forward-thinking professional accountancy body.
Welcome to the Internal Audit Lens, a monthly podcast brought to you by ACCA UK's Internal Audit Sector Panel. Each episode will have a special guest talking about their area of expertise and how it impacts on internal auditors. This is the second part of a two-part podcast in which ACCA Internal Audit Sector Panel member Si Mathavan of Johnston, Carmichael talks to his colleagues Darren M and Ewan about AI adoption and utilisation in business. If you haven't already listened to the first part, we suggest you do that now and then come back to this episode. In this second part, we look at how firms can move forward with AI once it is embedded in their business. We hope that you enjoy it.
Welcome back to the ACCA Internal Audit Lens AI podcast. In part one, we covered what AI is and from our experience how firms have managed some of the challenges of implementation. So welcome to part two, where we'll explore more about how firms can move forward with AI once it's embedded in their business. Again, I'm joined by Darren M and Ewan from JC, who have experience of both advising clients on change as well as reviewing processes, controls and systems implemented by firms. So continuing the conversation, let's talk about how firms are moving forward with AI and embedding it in their businesses. So once AI has been implemented, guys, how should businesses measure its success?
Yeah, really measuring success should be quantified like any other strategic initiative in your business. This could include metrics like increased efficiency, cost savings, revenue growth, customer satisfaction, and accuracy improvements. Review these metrics regularly to ensure AI is delivering the expected value. Lessons learned and what next are always a key consideration, especially where expected outcomes differ from reality, positive or negative as well there.
Thanks, Ewan. And I guess, once firms have implemented AI, it's not a one-time thing, but it probably needs some sort of an element of constant review. So I guess from your interactions, how are firms doing this and how are they managing that process?
Yeah, it's really interesting to me. And firms, to be honest with you, they have varying degrees of success, to be perfectly honest. AI has been around for decades, but the adoption of AI has been relatively slow until recent years. And that's based on several factors. Mainly a lack of understanding on how best to deploy AI and the ethical rigor around its deployment. Firms who have implemented AI successfully and with the highest impact have aligned any deployment to their strategic objectives, seeking external advice from specialists in the field with lots of reflection points and encouraging a culture of innovation and providing resources for experimentation to drive that continuous improvement. Fail fast is a term I often hear from these firms and can work where AI is tested in a small, controlled environment first before considering a live deployment. Just look at how McDonald's has transformed its business model through technology, from making an order at a desk to touch screens in their restaurants to their app, online deliveries. And in recent years, they have invested in voice recognition technology. So you will now place an order at a drive-through by speaking to a robot, and yet it will feel like a conversation with an actual person. McDonald's also now employs 130 staff to solely deploy technology in their business through their digital transformation team as well, which I just find fascinating.
Yeah, that's really interesting, isn't it? I'm sure many of us are very used to some of the changes that McDonald's have gone through over the last number of years. And I think when you look at some of the work that we do and also what obviously internal audit teams do is very much around governance as part of an audit. So, looking at AI, how important is it to communicate to senior management and board level and to bring them along on the journey? Darren, I don't know, there's one that you want to pick up on.
Yeah, governance and communication is critical in firms, and it's especially important in the context of AI to ensure that AI systems are both operating ethically and transparently. This involves establishing AI policies for data privacy, security, and ethical use of AI. It's important to get these policies and procedures signed off by senior management and boards as well. then, on the other hand, you've got to have regular audits, both internal and external, on AI and compliance checks to help maintain trust and accountability in AI operations and the industry that they operate in.
This is certainly very interesting. And I think, when you're looking at businesses, how can they scale AI initiatives across the organization? Ewan, I wonder whether there's something that you've seen with some of the clients you've been working with.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, scaling AI requires that strategic approach and buy-in from the top. Investing your people to upskill their knowledge on the benefits and challenges is really important, and recruiting the required skill set where appropriate, and embedding those AI training into your training and development modules as well is equally important. Ultimately, you need an engaged and educated workforce. Start by expanding successful pilot projects to other departments or functions. Invest in scalable infrastructure, standardized processes, and promoting cross-functional collaboration are also key to successfully scaling.
I guess the link to this is going to be training, isn't it? Training is going to be absolutely key, I would have thought, for a lot of organizations to make sure that they've got the right skill sets within their teams. So, how are firms going about it? As I would think, really, the changing technology may need significant levels of upskilling in some instances.
Yeah, training is very important when it comes to AI, just like all new technology, actually. The best way to think of it is like planting seeds in a well-tended garden. Those seeds turn to little sprouts, and they eventually grow to robust, fruitful trees. Now, when it comes to AI, training can help increase employee engagement, it can help increase performance, help address internal weaknesses, and boost employee retention in some instances. We've seen both ends on the spectrum when it comes to AI training. On one end, you have firms that are embracing AI, and on the other end, you've got firms that are not wanting to get involved in it. I think we can all agree that AI is here to stay, so embracing it is probably the best way to go. But I can understand why firms are proceeding with caution. I've heard that some firms are also banning AI, and I don't think this is the right answer, because when you ban AI, staff will somehow find a way of using it, and they'll somehow get around it. What's more beneficial is actually educating and training staff on the benefits and also the risks that are associated with using AI.
Thanks, Darren. And Ewan, maybe one for you. I mean, from what you've seen, what are some of the best practices for maintaining these AI systems?
Yeah, because maintaining AI systems at the end of the day is crucial for long-term success. And some of the best practices that we've kind of seen by working with clients is, firstly, regularly monitor and evaluate the performance, refine those models to keep them accurate, and maintain high-quality data, and use that version control for all changes. Documenting everything thoroughly is equally important. Next, conduct that regular bias audits to ensure fairness. Review its scalability and performance, and prioritize security and privacy. Collect user feedback, that's internal and external, for continuous improvement, and foster that cross-functional collaboration. And finally, develop those fail-safe plans for system continuity and adhere to those ethical AI practices that your business has adopted. By following these steps, you can ensure your AI systems remain robust and effective.
Thanks, Ewan. And Darren, I know we spoke in part one, and we did touch about ethics and AI. And just coming back to that, actually, how can businesses address the ethical considerations associated with the AI? Because a lot of what we hear about is around ethics and the importance, obviously, ethics when using AI. So I don't know whether you can expand on that a little bit further.
Yeah, right. We talked in detail about ethics in part one, but just to reiterate, ethical considerations should be embedded in the AI development process. This includes bias mitigation, ensuring transparency, and most importantly, respecting user privacy. Establishing an ethics committee or consulting with ethics specialists can help navigate some of these complex issues. So that's something that firms may want to have a think about.
Thanks, Darren. Now moving, I guess, to internal audit, and the focus of AI and internal audit. I mean, what role does AI play in internal audits, and what are the things that internal auditors might need to think about when considering AI?
That's a very good question, and a very topical one at the moment with several internal auditors that we speak with. There are two parts to this. Firstly, there's using AI in internal audit engagements. Auditors can use AI to arrive at insightful recommendations, get insights that they would normally get through a standard or manual approach. We've seen and have had discussions with several clients who use AI to perform predictive analytics and machine learning on large data sets. AI is seen as a hugely beneficial tool as it provides more in-depth insights to stakeholders, as well as improve efficiency and the accuracy of internal audit procedures. On the other side of the coin is internal audits on AI. We've seen firms starting to think about how they would look at AI models and the tests that they would perform to ensure that the risks are appropriately mitigated. A number of individuals and firms have identified the potential risks around clarity and transparency that comes with AI models. Then there's the ongoing monitoring and tweaking of AI models and the legal compliance and copyright infringement risks that come with it that firms should be thinking about as they start to think about their annual audit plans.
Yeah, I can see AI really having a big impact actually on internal audit teams, and like you say, how they use AI, but also what work they do around AI within the business. I guess there's also going to be an element here around third-party assurance as well.
Yes, definitely. We've had discussions with clients around third-party assurance on AI. Both internal and external stakeholders want to gain this assurance over the complexities that underpin AI systems. In a similar manner to what we're seeing with our ESG clients, you are now seeing stakeholders looking for comfort over the data, systems, and output. One would assume that at some stage there might be some AI assurance standard that we can all provide assurance against. But currently there are frameworks and standards that are out there that can be used. The one that comes to mind is obviously the ISO 3000 standard, where you can get assurance via limited or reasonable assurance. And also you provide stakeholders with that confidence that they need. There's also review and recommend engagements and potential for agreed upon procedures to get that level of assurance should they require it.
Thanks, Darren. Ewan, I think looking forward, and dare I say the future of AI in business, and I'm thinking mainly from a people perspective. I mean, we do hear quite a bit about AI and how it's going to have a huge impact on people actually doing their roles. So what do you sort of foresee happening going forwards, if you can sort of gaze into your crystal ball?
Yeah, I've got it on my desk right here, Si. Thanks for that. Yeah, I find the future of AI in business just incredibly promising. But your employees at the end of the day are at the heart of that transition. And in less than 6 years' time, Gen Zs, so that's people who were born late 1990s, early 2000s, they'll be in all businesses. And that population, they'll expect organizations to fully embrace AI, having grown up with it in their personal lives. It's common for them. And the only way to recruit and retain the best staff in the future will be to engage with a workforce that drives your business forward through the use of technology, while remaining human at the same time. AI will not replace your staff. It's all about improving the efficiency and effectiveness of everyone's role, which surely must be a good thing. And spending more time on the insights and providing strategic guidance to your stakeholders, again, must be so powerful and important. So to allow you to prepare for it, invest in those AI training plans now. Recruit staff with that technology lens and explore the possibilities in a considered and risk-managed way.
Thanks, Ewan. And I guess, just as we wrap up, maybe a question for both of you, what final thoughts would you like to share with the listeners about AI in business?
Yeah, I'll maybe start with that, if that's okay. I mean, for me, every number one business in the world deploys AI, from Google to Domino's. The benchmark has been set incredibly high. And for me, businesses who fail to embrace that change will be left behind at some point. So embrace the technology with an open mind, focus on creating value, and prioritize those ethical considerations. With the right approach, AI can drive significant positive change and that competitive advantage.
Yeah, I completely agree with what Ewan said there. And one quote that really resonates with me is what Google's CEO Sundar Pichai once said, where he likened AI to, quote, the most profound technology humanity has ever worked on, unquote. And he even compared it to electricity or fire. Now, I can't think of a world where we don't have either, so we really do need to take this seriously. If I look at things closer to home, the UK AI market is estimated to be valued at over 17 billion. And early projections are showing that it might grow to an 800 billion industry by 2035. The UK represents the third largest AI market in the world after the US and China. And there was even talk about a Brit GPT to rival the ChatGPT model that we currently have out there. AI will continue to provide businesses and individuals with new opportunities for growth and transformation. There are many use cases where AI has positively been adopted, and we need to build our understanding from these use cases. We need to learn from past mistakes and refine our approach when it comes to AI. It's a powerful tool, but we should exercise prudence and enthusiasm at the end of the day.
Thanks both. And thank you for sharing your experience with us for this podcast. And thank you to our listeners for tuning into the ACCA AI podcast.
Thanks for having us. It was a pleasure to be here today.
Yeah, thank you so much. Really appreciate the opportunity and the time that we've had. So thank you.
Perfect. So that concludes our two-part series on AI adoption and utilization in business. We hope you found the discussions valuable. So until next time, stay innovative and informed, and please listen to future podcasts on the Internal Audit Lens. Goodbye.
Thank you for listening to this episode. Join us next time for more insights from the Internal Audit Lens.
This podcast was brought to you by ACCA. Find out how we think ahead at accaglobal.com.